We all know that Attorney General William Barr will put the law and ethics by the wayside in order to carry out his political agenda and Donald Trump's political agenda. And it turns out that employees over at the Justice Department, the very government agency that William Barr heads, are concerned about what he is doing to our democracy and to our democratic process. So in a new report, 1,600 former officials from the department have signed an open letter warning that Attorney General William Barr is a threat to our democracy. Barr is, again, literally the head of the Justice Department. So let's go to what we've learned through this open letter. We fear that Attorney General William Barr intends to use the DOJ's vast law enforcement powers to undermine our most fundamental democratic value, free and fair elections. The open letter continues to say, given Attorney General William Barr's demonstrated willingness to use the department to help President Trump politically, the media and the public should view any election-related activity by the DOJ, including any announcement or findings related to the Durham investigation, with appropriate skepticism, which I got word for you, we were already there. Like we were already there. Let me read one more graphic for you, and then Ben, I want to get your thoughts. They further write, most recently, the department made a premature and improper announcement of a mail-in ballot tampering investigation that the White House immediately used as a talking point in its campaign to discredit mail-in voting and to further the claim that it will be rigged against President Trump. So what were they talking about? There have been a few different instances that Trump has basically lied about and skewed in a way to use as a talking point against mail-in voting. But last week, the Justice Department announced an investigation into 9 discarded mail-in ballots reportedly recovered from a county elections office in Northeast Pennsylvania. 7 of the 9 ballots had been cast for the president, who has repeatedly claimed without evidence that massive fraud involving mail-in ballots is underway. And that was definitely skewed to make it seem like there was some foul play there, but we learned otherwise. I'll get to that in just a second. But Ben, I wanted to give you a chance to share your thoughts.
Yeah, this story, I caught wind of the story late yesterday, and I'm with you. It's like we already had this expectation. We feel this, we knew this, but to have this confirmation from former DOJ employees, right? I think that has to carry a significant amount of weight. But you juxtapose that with the officials being told to give vocal support for Kyle Rittenhouse, to give vocal support for Patriots Prayer. It shows you the extent to which they are weaponizing the federal government against our best interest as citizens of this country and aligning it with white supremacy, aligning it with militia and hate groups, as well as aligning it with helping Donald Trump get reelected. And so this is why, if I could just piggyback on the last story, I think this is why we still have to be extremely aggressive in this election, because we're not dealing with a regular president. We're dealing with a president who is in league with white supremacy and would clearly undermine this Constitution and destroy this democracy just to maintain power.
Yeah, you're exactly right. This is not a typical normal election. We're not dealing with a normal campaign. We know that Donald Trump will use anything in his toolbox to spread disinformation, to suppress the vote, to lie to people about what the reality is, especially when it comes to mail-in ballots and voter fraud. I mean, when you look at the numbers, again, we've shared numerous studies that have showed that voter fraud is not in any way a widespread issue. The mail-in voter fraud rate is, let me give you the exact number, 0.00006% over the last 20 years. That is what the reality of the matter is. And when it comes to voter fraud, the White House clearly can't even keep its message straight or consistent. Here's Kayleigh McEnany really fumbling when it comes to this accusation of voter fraud in Pennsylvania.
Who is they that found those ballots, and where is this river anywhere in this country?
The local authorities. It was a ditch in Wisconsin that they were found, and I can get the article to your inbox if you'd like. And beyond that,
if he misspoke, that's fine.
No, that's
he meant
that's what the president was referring to. And you're missing the forest for the trees here. The point is,
no, I cover the news, and I like to report accurately in the news.
This is what is happening here. You are ignoring the problem here, which is last week in Pennsylvania, you had ballots found in a ditch. That is a fact. In Wisconsin, 7 military ballots, all marked for Trump, were found cast aside. There are problems with mass mail-in voting. I actually don't understand the lack of journalistic curiosity and reporting on this. There used to be curiosity. In fact,
so after that moment, where's the river was trending on Twitter because what river? What are you talking about, right? And so I actually did have some journalistic curiosity about what happened in Pennsylvania. And what was interesting about that story is that when situations like that come up, right? They found 9 ballots. The Justice Department under William Barr immediately announced that all of those ballots were meant to vote for Donald Trump. Later, they had to walk that statement back because it turned out that 7 of the ballots were for Donald Trump and 2 of the other ballots were sealed, so no one knew who they were for. And so in Pennsylvania, just that week, by the way, we had reported a story about how a judge ruled that due to Pennsylvania's 2-envelope policy, meaning that you need to have a secrecy envelope that the ballot goes into, and then you put that secrecy envelope into another envelope, and then you turn it in. If voters didn't do it correctly and didn't seal it correctly, those ballots end up getting thrown out based on a judge's order. And what election officials were saying was that it was incredibly strange that as this investigation was underway, which means that our system works, the investigation was underway. Something strange happened. They're investigating it to make sure that there's no voter fraud. As that's happening, the Trump administration decides to announce these details, which never happens. That's unprecedented. Because you don't want to spread, again, disinformation that discourages people from voting. But that's exactly what they're intentionally doing here. And that is exactly why 1,600 members of the Justice Department drafted this letter to warn the American people that under the leadership of William Barr, our democracy is really under threat because they are trying to discourage people from voting. One more note, the letter also accused Barr of using the Justice Department to discredit the Russia investigation, which cast a dark cloud over much of Trump's presidency and led to the indictment of 6 former associates and campaign aides. I mean, that was something we already knew. And honestly, at this point, I don't really care about that. I'm over that. What I care about is ensuring that we have a free and fair election moving forward. And the Trump administration, with the help of William Barr, is fighting tooth and nail to ensure that doesn't happen.
Yeah, and I just real quick on that. It is it's like, who do we appeal to at this point? How do we stop this? And that's the frustration that I get when I think of these stories, because it's Donald Trump has made so many appointments through the judiciary that there's really nowhere that we could go to get justice. And I hate to, this is the members only portion, so maybe I can be a little more relaxed, but I think maybe in this situation with coronavirus, that may have been our only path to get away, to break free from a system that he has spent the last 4 years rigging to ensure that he could steal democracy. And we really don't have anyone in political power that can help stop this. So let's see how things play out over the next few weeks.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. One of the most frustrating things about the Trump administration is the fact that we don't actually have a strong opposition party. I mean, we see everything happening right before our eyes. We see what Louis DeJoy did to the post office.
Right.
We see what's happening with poll watchers, armed people who are gonna show up to in-person voting locations with the very intention of discouraging people, intimidating people so they don't cast their ballots. And this will be happening primarily in battleground states. And so what's the response by Democrats? Is there actual planning in place? And I don't know, maybe I should give them the benefit of the doubt. Maybe they are planning something and they're just not, showing their cards. But I feel that based on what's happened in recent history, it would be naive to think that. But I hope I'm wrong.
Yeah, I hope you're wrong too, but I think you're right.
Yeah, and that's why it's important, guys. Please, please, please check the rules and regulations in your state. Make sure that you're registered. Make sure you vote early. That is the best way to mitigate some of what the Trump campaign is trying to do here, because if anything, it should make you want to fight harder to make sure that your vote counts. So go out there and do it. Make sure you know you're armed with the facts and the details.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks. Really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.